Hi guys, welcome back to What's on My Plate. So for tonight, I'm making a spaghetti squash side dish with mushrooms. It's going to be delicious and you're going to love it. So let's get started. Okay, so I have cut my spaghetti squash in half, and make sure you have a very sharp knife because it's very hard to get through the skin. So the next thing is to scoop out all the seeds. So we're going to do that. Okay. Just get them all out. Use your fingers or a spoon. Okay, so we just got all the seeds out. Okay, and then I'm going to do the next one. And so after we get all the seeds out, we're going to start seasoning it, and we're going to put it right in the oven so it can go ahead and roast for a while. And that'll be the next step. So I'm just going to get the seeds out, and then we will season it and get it in the oven. Okay, so I have a baking tray here lined with foil. I greased it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add olive oil in the spaghetti squash, and we're just going to go ahead and just lather it all around. Just take all that oil. So just enough oil to cover the inside of the spaghetti squash. It's probably about a half a tablespoon on each piece, but however much you need. Okay, so that is the first step. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle both pieces with a little bit of sea salt, and sprinkle both pieces with some pepper. Okay, and then we're going to flip them over because we're going to bake them when they're flipped over. And then on this side, just go ahead and just add some of the remaining olive oil on here. Okay, and now this goes in the oven at 425 degrees for approximately 40 minutes to 45 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. You're gonna know when it's done when you can kind of pierce the skin a little bit. And then when we remove it and let it cool, and then we start pulling out all the little spaghetti strands out of it. So that's the first step, because this is the longest part. So I'm gonna get this in the oven, and then we'll get to sauteing our mushrooms. That's the next step. Okay, so what I have here is 16 ounces of mushrooms. I got two different packages. One is the baby Bella mushroom, and one is the white mushroom. So all I'm doing is I'm just thinly slicing them. Not too thin, but I'm just slicing them up. Okay, and I'm going to do this for all of them. And I have 2 cloves of chopped garlic over here. And I'm just going to finish chopping up my mushrooms, and we are going to start sauteing them, and that would be the next step. So we will get to that. Okay, so now that it's heating up, we are going to add our mushrooms. Okay, just going to add them all in here, and we're going to saute them until they're caramelized and have some color on them. And then we will set them aside. Okay, so we're gonna saute this, and I'm gonna add the garlic in a few minutes. So I'm gonna add some pepper, just a sprinkle of pepper, and a sprinkle of salt. So I'm using sea salt, just a sprinkle. I mean, it's probably about a 1/4 teaspoon or 1/8 of a teaspoon. Okay, and then we're also going to put in some Italian seasoning. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And as always, The seasoning that I use is has marjoram, oregano, thyme, rosemary, savory, basil, and sage. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of that. Okay. And we will just saute these. Just mix it up so all the seasoning gets around all of it. Some of the oil here. Okay, so basically now it's just going to saute, and it's going to be a few minutes, and we just want them to remove any water that they might have in them, and we want them to look caramelized and have some color. So we are going to saute them till we see that. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it here, and we will, once it starts getting some color and it's done, I will let you know, and I will start adding the garlic in. That'll be the next step. Okay, so it's been about like 5 minutes, and you can see all the color already, and they're softening up. And I had it on high heat to start. Now it's on a medium heat. I'm gonna go ahead and add my 2 cloves of garlic in now. Just gonna mix it up. Okay, you see the color, it's already like getting so much color. So just keep continuously mixing it up. Okay, and these are gonna saute for a few more minutes. We want them to be caramelized. So I'm gonna lower my heat a little bit. So now it's like medium low. And so I'm gonna let them go for another 5 minutes or so. So it's total about, 10-15 minutes on the mushrooms. And then when they're done, I'll show you, and then we'll set them aside because the spaghetti squash is still cooking. Okay, so we'll get to those steps next. It smells amazing though. Okay, so now that it's been about 15 minutes in total, look how delicious they look. So amazing. And you know what's great about mushrooms? You can infuse them with any flavor. It absorbs it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. I always say Worcestershire, but everyone told me that I was saying it wrong. So it's Worcestershire. So Worcestershire sauce. So do about, let's do like 1 to 2 tablespoons. 1 to 2 teaspoons, I'm sorry. That's it, 2 teaspoons. Add it in, and it's going to absorb the flavor. So now that we added that, we're just gonna cook these for about 2 more minutes, and we are going to set them aside. Okay, 2 more minutes. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start shredding some fresh Parmesan cheese. Okay, so here I have shredded a 1/2 cup of Gouda and a 1/2 cup of fresh Parmesan. So we're gonna set this aside, and we're gonna shut off the mushrooms because they are done. So I will show you that. Okay, so here's my mushrooms. Look how good they look. So delicious. So we're just gonna set these aside until the spaghetti squash is done. And then that will be the next step, is getting the spaghetti squash out of the oven and cooled off so we can just start pulling all the strings out. Okay, so my spaghetti squash is now done out of the oven. So basically I cooked it at 425 degrees, and all we needed to cook it was for about 35 to 40 minutes. All you need to do is take your fork, and then if you can pierce through the skin, it's done. And you could see it's like, it's not piercing, but it's done because it's like concaving a little bit. Okay, so we need to let this cool, and then once it's cooled, we're gonna just start shredding the inside, just pulling all the spaghetti squash out. And that'll be the next step. Okay, so I flipped it over so you could see it. It's just steaming away. Look how the beautiful color it has. Look at that. Yum. Okay, so we are going to let it cool, as I said, and then we will get to the next step. Okay, so I've let them cool. You do not need to let them fully cool. Just like 5 minutes, 10 minutes is good. And so then you just start peeling it, not peeling it, but start pulling it with your fork, see? And then just, it's like very easy to do it. See how good that looks? It's so easy, and it's actually it's fun to do. Look at that. So I'm gonna actually dump it out because I'm gonna add this to the mushrooms. I'm gonna mix them all up, and I'm actually gonna stuff the shell again with all of it. And then we're just gonna bake it for a few minutes until the cheese melts. Okay, this is fun actually. Okay, see? Just like that. So I'm gonna do the other one, and you see how it looks? It looks like spaghetti. Looks like angel hair. So I'm gonna finish the other one, and then I'm gonna put all of it inside the mushrooms. I'm gonna toss everything together, and then I'm going to stuff the shell again. So even though it's a side dish, you can just put it on a table with a spoon, and then people can scoop out. Or, you know, you just put the whole thing on your plate with whatever piece of meat or fish or whatever you're gonna eat it with. Yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to finish up here, and we'll get to the next step. And it has so much flavor already. Okay, so my spaghetti squash is out of the oven. The cheese melted beautifully. So it just needs a few minutes until the cheese melts, and it's done. So thank you so much for watching what's on my plate. This is my spaghetti squash side dish, and I will plate it. I'll take a picture and I will show you. Thanks again for watching what's on my plate. Don't forget to hit that like button.